Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, and it's really great to see the room full and to see so many of you representing alumni, faculty, students, staff, administration. Thank you for coming to this kickoff of our 50th anniversary as a comprehensive college in the State University system, State University of New York. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. I'm so pleased today to be able to welcome our College Council Chair and his lovely wife, Dr. Gary and Mrs. Nancy Wadler. Dr. Wadler won't rise. He just had surgery on his back, but he is and has been one of our biggest supporters. Stuck right by this president since the day I got here, and he's been working hard for us. And even in those moments when he can't work as hard and we've gotten to know her better and probably love her more, is his wife, Nancy Wadler. And I just am so grateful for them being with us today. Seated next to her is our college foundation chairperson, Mrs. Michelle DiBenedetto. And Michelle is a lovely person. You can stand up. She can get up, and there she is. She, too, is a strong representative of our college across Long Island, throughout New York City. I got a chance to know Michelle even before I got here when she worked with Citibank, and I'm so grateful that she's here this afternoon. Also, is Reverend Garofolo here? Don't see him yet. And Elizabeth Custodio from our trustees, no longer here, or not here. But also here is the chair of our alumni, Mr. Lionel Chitty. Stand up, Lionel. He's a graduate of Old Westbury. And now there are many more of you, and I'll be introducing you as we go along today. But it's important that we celebrate 50 years. There's no school in the State University system, and there are no schools in the nation like the State University College at Old Westbury. It was started as a pedagogical, call it experiment, if you will, 50 years ago. A commitment to all that is good in our world. Committed as an institution to provide the best educational opportunities for all men and women, for all men and women. And that was not necessarily the case before a school like Old Westbury. Certainly a college for men, certainly a college for those who were part of the majority of this society, but there were many women and others who were marginalized and were not given the opportunities that we all deserve. This school was committed to that, and it has been doing it. And now here's Reverend Garofolo from our college councils. Give him a foundation, give him a big round of applause. And that's why we're celebrating that we have endured, that we have survived, not only endured, survived, but succeeded. Succeeded. As you look around this room, you will see men and women from all ethnic backgrounds, all religious backgrounds, and some with no religion at all. You look around this room, you see all races represented. You see all sexual orientations in this room. And what I'm saying to you is that I'm proud to lead a college like this because it really speaks to what our world is becoming and in many ways has already become. But the doors are still not open to all as they should be. And the opportunities are still not provided for all as they should be. And men and women in this institution who graduate from this institution ought to be committed and dedicated to a more just society for all men and women. And so we celebrate today. This is why 50 years and counting should be something that we are all very proud of. It gives us a chance to reflect. I'm looking at these photographs. I saw a photograph of myself 16 years ago. I don't look the same, I'm sorry to say. But then I saw photographs of some of you 20 years ago, and you all still look the same, I'm happy to say. So we need to come together to reaffirm our commitment to social justice and resolve as we look forward for the next 50 years that we will continue to strive for excellence and continue to seek the best and brightest among us to be here at the State University College at Old Westbury. I should say something as I talked about looking at the pictures and myself looking different. We have also been committed to giving men and women who may be earlier in their lives. They had to stop going to school in order to care for the family, in order to raise children. Some of us managed to get so far, we had to go to work, we built up a lot of knowledge across 25 or 30 years, and then found out we needed more education. I'm just saying we're dedicated to making sure that the more mature among us, the older among us, also have an opportunity. And there were many that I've interacted with who came back to Old Westbury, and Old Westbury was the only place to give them that opportunity. We can't take that away from the state, from the citizens of the state of New York or the citizens of this nation, because many of the students who started this college were recruited not just from the state of New York, but from across the nation. The official resolution by the State University Board of Trustees creating this campus was approved in June of 1965. The founding president, Harris Wofford, and the original faculty members envisioned a small experimental institution centered on a common core of courses and individualized student projects that would draw a diverse but talented group of students and faculty together. The college launched its operation in 1968 at Planting Fields, the former co-estate located in Oyster Bay, Long Island. The first class of 85 students recruited from across the nation arrived in September of 1968. In an atmosphere that encouraged nearly unrestricted opportunities for experimentation and innovation, the first students opposed all academic requirements, insisting on equal voting rights with faculty and on all policy matters. You know that's radical. You know that's radical. President Wofford departed in 1969, and as SUNY worked on a reorganization of the college, classes continued under the direction of Dr. Counsel Taylor, a distinguished anthropologist and member of the faculty. Dr. Counsel Taylor. In May 1970, John McGuire, an innovative administrator and civil rights activist, was named president. By fall of 1971, 571 students were enrolled. The revised mandate called for Old Westbury to educate a diverse, multicultural student population. The new curriculum was organized around a critical analysis of fundamental issues of society, or, as enunciated in the new mandate, an exploration of the riddle of human justice. You all remember that Plato's Republic, of course, this is Old Westbury, you learned this long before you got here, was based on a discussion of the question of justice. Welcoming non-traditional students of all ages, ethnic and racial groups, as well as various walks of life, the college boasted of one of the most diverse student bodies in the nation. We are the most diverse student body in the nation, period. You will not find the kind of mixture of people anywhere else that you will find at Old Westbury, and we're proud of that. Its departmental organization reflected its interdisciplinary educational programs, and even the two pre-professional programs, teacher education and communicative and creative arts, were organized along interdisciplinary lines. Who could argue today that what they knew back in 1968 is what in fact is happening today with communication across the world? And who can argue that the State University of New York ought to invest more dollars in our communications effort? Those students who are studying digital communication and ways of communicating across the world, the United States of America holds a monopoly on how to do this kind of communication. And State University of New York, having an Oscar winner as one of our alumni, is in the lead and continues to be in the lead. These were what people call the great days at Old Westbury. Fervent debate about our nation and its direction. Passionate students exploring their world and their place in it. They were what many on campus refer to again as the good old days. And after a decade of success, with a few protests, takeovers, and sit-ins sprinkled in, Dr. McGuire departed in 1981. I wonder if they ran him off campus. You know, students and faculty can be challenging. From 1981 through 1998, under the direction of Clyde Wingfield, Ulrich Hayes, and Eudora Pettigrew, the college continued forward. Challenges arose, financial difficulties in particular, as the state began the reduction in funding for public education that continues through to today. To all of the students who are here, I know the faculty is on board with this, and the administration certainly is. To you students, you got a great opportunity. I think room and board along with tuition today is how much a year? Nobody knows. Nobody's paying it? $17,000. $17,000. That's going to be something we've got to hold on to. And if you're taking advantage of it now, you've got to fight to make sure those who come behind you take advantage of it. There were graduates of Old Westbury back in the 70s whose children are here and have come here, grandchildren even. And we need to make sure that our children and grandchildren have the same benefits, if not better, than we have. That's our fight. That's why we're celebrating 50 years and more. Great losses were suffered when the state cuts came in. We lost our American Dance and Theater program, one that I'm fighting hard to get back. Even so, the college maintained its commitment to preparing students to have an impact as members of an increasingly multicultural world. In 1998, Dr. Pettigrew was followed by Dr. Hubert Keene on an interim basis, and my appointment came in 1999. Today, we have the largest enrollment in the history of our school, 4,502 students. Thank you very much. We've introduced new undergraduate degrees, and we've created graduate programs, something that was not here. We've earned NCATE accreditation for our School of Education. That's the gold standard. Any student in our School of Education should be getting the benefit of a quality education in preparation to teach. We've improved the facilities of the campus, new residence halls, a new student union, the university police headquarters, and this new academic building. And that while progress has been achieved, the core mission remains to prepare a student body from diverse backgrounds to become the men and women they hope to be and enable them to make meaningful change in our world. And so we come to our celebration. Our theme is a celebration of educational leadership and empowerment. And this theme really speaks from your and my, I think, frame of reference. When you go out of here, I want you to be empowered to do all kinds of things. I want you to be empowered in your own field to lead. Old Westbury is a place where educational excellence and leadership occurs every day, where strong teachers instruct and inform motivated students. Not enough people outside of our campus know what we do. And every opportunity I get to invite someone onto our campus, I tell them to come. They need to see our students. They need to see our faculty. They need to hear our staff interact. And then we are empowered to go out and fight, to go out and change our world, to go out and argue on the behalf of those who continue to be marginalized, and mostly that's poor people. And when I speak about poor people, I got everybody in this room. I don't have to worry about what race you are, where you come from. Everybody in here, including the one you're looking at, is poor. When I can share my wealth against Gates, the people who are in corporate America, the people who pull down those huge benefits so that even when they retire, they get millions of dollars a year. Many of you are working heart attack hours just to make it. Some of you are paying your own tuition. Some of you, when you leave here, have to go to work. And then you have to do the work that this insane faculty gives you to do. We know what we're talking about here. And then some of you have to live on Long Island where the housing costs, do what? go up and up and up. And then some of you have to pay the taxes. We've got a lot to do. And that's why our education here is so important. So in the spirit of Old Westbury, empowerment is one of the best words to use because it's what we do. We empower our students to chase their dreams. We empower them to make our world a more just place. We empower them to perhaps become even more than they themselves think they can become. And so it aligns with our core mission. Harris Wolford and John McGuire, innovators, great leaders of our school, and the faculty and our staff. Some 11 members of the faculty and staff have been with the college for over 40 years or more. It's hard to believe. And continue today to positively impact the lives of our students. Ann James, is Ann around? You all may see Sister Ann James moving around the campus. She's been with custodial services, and she joined Old Westbury in 1969. Regina Radowski in sociology. Is Regina here? She came to the college in 1971. F. Mitchler Bishop in psychology. Professor Bishop, 1971 or so. John Ehrenreich. I know Ehrenreich. Where is he? He's on sabbatical. Writing a book about this. In psychology. Robert Hoyt, chemistry, physics. Where's Bob? Is he here? There he is. There he is. I saw his picture up there 30 years ago. And they say that Bishop, Ehrenreich, and Hoyt all joined the college in 72. But Ehrenreich said he was here 3 weeks before you. All right. Henry T.O., Dr. T.O., he's not here. Physics, chemistry. Lynn Walsh School of Business. They came in 73. And in 1975, Patrick O'Sullivan, our provost, stand up, Dr. O'Sullivan, just wave. Gail McDaniel, Central Receiving. Gail. Joel Feiner, we know who Joel is. School of Business, not here right now. And my favorite person in the whole world, Dr. Minna Barrett, right here, 1975. This is a little difficult for me. My earliest exposure came really, I used to come out here and give speeches, but to get to know the people in 1999. Now, since 1999, many people have retired and some have passed away. Rosalind Baxendall, American Studies, retired. Luis Kamitzer, Visual Arts. I came, he left. Onita Estes Hicks, English. Naomi Rosenthal, American Studies. Basilio Solano, Teacher Education. I remember all these people fondly. They gave a lot to this school. Jim Yana, Humanities, founding dean of the School of Arts and Sciences. My man, Carlin Wood, Teacher Education. Gretchen Johnson, Teacher Education. Deceased, Elizabeth Ewan, American Studies. True Old Westbury professor. Another one, Joe Comforti, Sociology. Barry Armandi, Management. And I saw a picture of him up there a moment ago, Young P. Lee, in Mathematics. And so, beloved, before I bring up the remaining speakers, I want to thank all of you who've been working with us across the years. And I want to thank all of you who are going to help us make this a big 50th anniversary. We have to push back. We have to push back. We cannot let those who have no deep appreciation. This is about men and women in our society who really just have no love for education. And we know that education empowers. And we know that in order to maintain a civil democracy that works on behalf of all, we must have a well-educated population. No question. And I'm glad our students are here, and we're providing this opportunity. 50 years. And I must thank those members of the faculty who have and will bring events to life during this anniversary celebration. And most particularly, I want to thank our Faculty Senate for its leadership in this effort. Now I'm going to decrease and bring forward a few people to help us kick off this 50th anniversary celebration. I want them to say a few words about their own Old Westbury experiences and their hopes for the future of our college. First, one of those people who has always been warm and very friendly, always spoke of her love for this school and has demonstrated it by her great work as a faculty member and as chair of the Faculty Senate and an associate professor with the School of Education. So welcome one of our outstanding faculty members, Dr. Kate Velsor. Dr. Velsor, and the chair of our Faculty Senate.
I was looking around, wondering who you were talking about. Dr. Butts, members of the SUNY College Foundation, the College Council, and other distinguished guests of college faculty, staff, and students. I'm really honored to speak on behalf of the faculty of Old Westbury as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. I've had the pleasure of being a member of the faculty for 23 years. And during my tenure, I've heard many outrageous stories about Old Westbury, folk tales about the early years. And when I was asked to address this group, I felt that I should investigate these stories. Were they misremembered or true? Stephen Kirkpatrick and Tom Delgages provided me with some of the information about these early years, and I will share with you today. As you know, Governor Nelson Rockefeller created the SUNY system as it exists today. He joined the small state colleges into a single university system. And during the early 50s, Long Island experienced a huge growth spurt, which construction of the Northern State and the Southern State Parkways and the Long Island Expressway. But before all of this, Long Island remained a rural community with small towns and farms. Thus, there was a need for access for public education on Long Island, beginning with Farmingdale, Stony Brook in 1958. Several options were considered. By 1965, what had evolved was a creation of a college that would attract a non-traditional student to higher education, and it would be called Nassau College. The state bought this property from the estate of Ambrose Clark. Several additional property was acquired, such as the stretch to 107. The college was originally housed in Ambrose Clark's mansion, and during a repair effort, the roof caught on fire and destroyed the structure. The college was then temporarily moved to Cole Hall in Planting Fields. The geodesic domes that had been used to build the startup of Stony Brook in 1958 were reassembled for additional classroom space. Who were our founding fathers? How did they help to shape the intellectual culture of SUNY College at Old Westbury? With the help of Stephen Kirkpatrick, our librarian, I was able to find the names in a document entitled Statement of Academic Plans, 1969 to 1970, originally referred to as the Disciplines College. Also in this document is a proposal for a more traditional degree program, known as the Urban Studies Program. The spirit and substance of the Disciplines College is best expressed by the descriptions of the professors and their teaching responsibilities. There were 6 names listed. Lawrence Resnick was the first faculty member appointed to Old Westbury. He was a professor. He was a contributing editor to the British and American Journal for Analytical Philosophy. He was a consultant to the U.S. Department of Education, the Kettering Foundation, the Xerox Corporation, and he earned his PhD from Cornell University. Chandler Bossard's specialty was social criticism, fiction's way of being. Associate professor, he was a senior editor for Look magazine, an executive editor for Time magazine, and he was also a writer for The New Yorker, The Washington Post, and a playwright. Tran Van Dyke, his specialty was Asian humanism. He was an associate professor, a senior officer in the Vietnam Liberation Army from 1945 to 1952. He was a journalist in the Foreign Service in South Vietnam. He had a very distinguished career, and when he came to Old Westbury, he had just published a novel, No Passenger on the River, a story which was set in Vietnam. He had lectured in over 300 colleges and campuses before coming to Old Westbury. Barbara Lawrence, specialty, contemporary French fiction, associate professor, magazine editor, McCall's, The New Yorker, Harper's Bazaar, Redbook. She earned a BA in French from Connecticut College and an MA in philosophy from NYU. Michael Novak, specialty, philosophy and theology and culture, associate professor. He published 6 books, and his articles appeared in every major Western language. Most interesting to me was that he wrote speeches during the presidential campaign for John F. Kennedy in 1960 and Robert F. Kennedy in Oregon and California in 1968. Jan Reinader, assistant professor. He had graduated in 1962 from the University of Pennsylvania and Princeton in 1965. He was only 27 years old when he came to Old Westbury, and he wrote this statement in his bio. The aim of my life is to take human insights that have been illustrated in works of art and understand their meaning in relationship to the artist's life, to his culture, and in relationship to my life and to those of my students. What a powerful group of professors. One can really see and understand how the foundation of Old Westbury developed. The very nature of the disciplines represents, helps to define the interdisciplinary approach that we use today. Furthermore, the political representation during the Vietnam era defines the development of our mission for social justice. What a time it must have been to be on this campus. The Urban Studies College is the opening mission statement, challenges the whole notion of higher education in the traditional sense. And they write, the creation of an urban studies college is an attempt to organize students and faculty into a process of inquiry which will deal with problems of urbanized society. We wish to study the present in light of the past in order that we may salvage the future. The college will not be a cloistered ivory tower, since we feel that we cannot afford the luxury of education value-free scholars. Rather, we aim to educate ourselves and become activist scholars. This list of contributing faculty was also advocating for a curriculum that would educate men and women who will be flexible in their outlook, but unyielding in their determination not only to understand themselves and their fellow man, but to act from that understanding. There's a short discussion about the introduction of technology and how this will affect our future, and the conclusion is this. The cry, power to the people, can only be interpreted to mean that technocrats, having little concerns for the aspirations of the people, will no longer be tolerated, and that professionals will need to identify with and understand the people whose service they serve, place their technical skills. They propose degrees in community organizing, teacher education, graduate school, professional school, and government. This represents the voices of our founding fathers and offers challenges to us today as we look to continue our mission in the future. We have the most academically and culturally diverse faculty, student body in the SUNY system. This comes from those who envisioned a college aimed to educate ourselves and our students to become activist scholars. One of the statements that I've heard many times on this campus is when you ask the faculty, why do you stay at Old Westbury? And they always respond, the students. And then when you ask the students, what do you remember when you leave Old Westbury? And they always say, the faculty. And so it is with our young history, a commitment to provide education so that students will be flexible in the outlook by unyielding in their determination not only to understand themselves and their fellow man, but to act on their understanding. Thank you.
And now I want you to hear from a woman who is celebrating her 40th anniversary here as a professor at the State University of New York College at Old Westbury. And she is a distinguished service professor in the Department of Psychology. Put your hands together and welcome Dr. Minna Barrett. Please, Doctor.
Hello, everybody. I see lots of friends and people I know and people I don't know. That's great. I'm glad. I brought with me something kind of interesting, I think, and I don't want you to attach it to me. It was sent to every single person in the state of New York who won a Regents College scholarship in 1965. And it was written by the Commissioner of Education, James E. Allen. I'm not going to read the whole letter. I'm just going to read the part that really led me to Stony Brook, and it led me to understand what I'm going to talk to you about today, which is that public university education is a public common, and why. The scholarship program in this state is an investment through which the state expresses its faith that you will carry forward the ideals of a democratic leadership, small d. You will, I am sure, find your own way of justifying this confidence, and in so doing, you carry with you the continuing good wishes and hopes of the people of the state. Now, I was 16 when I received this letter, and I had no idea where I was going to go to college because it was February when I received it, and so I hadn't heard from anyone, and I didn't know what I was doing. And my parents wanted me very desperately to go to the public school. They didn't want me to go to a private school. They wanted me to stay in the public system and understand the obligation that we, as citizens of the state, have to reproducing social justice. I also received a letter from Nelson Rockefeller. I'm going to read that today, too, because it's very different than what we heard in the State of the State address. This scholarship and other state programs for grants and loans mean so much to you in terms of assuring you the opportunity to attend college, something the state wants to support. These programs have been supplemented and expanded steadily ever since I became governor, and my goal is to do that so that no young man or woman in the state with a desire for higher education shall be denied it for lack of personal financial means or lack of adequate facilities. So you can imagine with this charge and my eventual selection of going to Stony Brook, the feeling that I had about entering this newly developing and highly exciting arena of education. And I have to say that while I was there, and there are people in the room who are educated there too, and they can attest to this, and at this campus, they're amongst the most active people I know on the campus, all the people who went to Stony Brook in any shape or form, right? The spirit that most of the faculty carried, that most of the leadership carried at Stony Brook, was actually very much like it is here. It was here when I came here. It was with a recognition that public education is intended to serve the people, and it must be acknowledged, appreciated, and supported by the people of the state in which the public education takes place. That you were going to be educated to take your rank in that polity, and you would be obligated to serve that polity. And I want to say that being here at Old Westbury, all these many years, particularly with its very special mission, has allowed me to feel that I have obligated myself to the people of this state with a lot of passion and love. And that when students enter, mostly from this state, they're mostly from this state, I see over and over again the hopes of that young child that I was when I was 17 and entered school in the faces of my students, and I respect and admire them. I just want to read to you the last statement in Rockefeller's letter. May this scholarship help you and inspire you to achieve the education necessary to fulfill your dreams. And I really can't imagine the governor of the state now writing that letter and meaning it, So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I want to read the college mission. I was hoping we could put it up on the wall, but we can't. SUNY College at Old Westbury is a dynamic and diverse liberal arts college that fosters academic excellence through close interaction among students, faculty, and staff. Old Westbury weaves the values of integrity, community engagement, and global citizenship into the fabric of its academic programs and campus life. In an environment that cultivates critical thinking, empathy, creativity, and intercultural understanding, we endeavor to stimulate a passion for learning and a commitment to building a more just and sustainable world. The college is a community of students, teachers, staff, and alumni, bound together in mutual support, respect, and dedication to this mission. Guiding principles: liberal education, promoting rigorous intellectual inquiry grounded in ethical and civic values, connecting learning in the classroom with civic engagement. And by the way, last week at the University Faculty Senate, our college was acknowledged for its excellence in civic engagement. And I am sure that as the governor steps up his desire to have people engaged outside of their classrooms, we're going to be a model for that kind of engagement. I'm not sure he's going to be happy that it's civic engagement, but we know that works. Integrity: because of all human relationships, as well as a just society, rely on the principles of truth, trust, and fairness, Old Westbury is committed to the highest ethical standards in academic, institutional, and community life. Participatory governance: to exemplify in all college policies the values we espouse, to uphold the principles of transparency, accountability, and democracy in every aspect of governance and planning conducted by students, staff, faculty, administration, trustees, and friends of the college. Intercultural understanding, sustainability, and last but not least, social justice. We promote social justice and equality in living and learning through an historic commitment to educational empowerment, diversity, access, equity, self-determination, community activism, and responsible global citizenship. I'm sorry I'm lecturing you, but I got to get through this. The value of SUNY College at Old Westbury is not merely a function of the words in its mission and its guiding principles. They're elegant, appropriate, they're directive, and they're very well intended. But its deeper value rests with its staff, faculty, and students, and can only be realized if those of us who are entrusted with the obligation to actualize the words are willing to do so with the responsibility and energy that pursuing a more just and sustainable world demands, and doing it here, right here, as a community, each and every one of us. Challenging injustice, suing for equity, harmonizing with the needs of a biodiverse planet, confronting acts of cruelty. These are not easy tasks to remedy. Transforming ourselves and helping you, the students, transform yourselves into thoughtful, accomplished citizens who can confront and struggle to right injustice. This isn't a tea party. The power and wheels of injustice are massive. They are continuously deceptive, and they infiltrate our definition of ourselves, every one of us, easily. Even if the mechanisms of inequity were more susceptible to our resistance and less persistent at mutating continuously into other machines to manage advantage, most of us aren't going to see the final outcomes of an idealized, equitable social order in our lifetimes. How can we, when so many with access to money, resources, and the wheels of policy keep asking us why we keep asking for anything from them? When I hear some colleagues here at the college talk about retreating from the difficulties of promoting this mission, I wonder what it is to be gained from aligning with the misleading untruths of people who are so divorced from the daily impacts of the inequality they choose to maintain. And then my high school French classes kick in, and what comes to mind is Cosette, Jean Valjean, and the many torturous readings of Victor Hugo's Les Miserables in French. And then I am compelled to argue more ardently here at the college for us to continue to make this mission more real, more consistent, and more evident in all that we are doing here at the college, because what we witness happening in the streets around us, in the growing economic inequality and its justification, and the rate of the global heat-up, make the skills of responsible leadership in our state, in our nation, and around the world as equally or more cogent, not less, than they were 50 years ago. Let us continually recommit, as often as we must, to the mission and to its guiding principles, and let's challenge ourselves to fulfill the inspirational directives, especially here at our intellectual home. I'm almost done. The State University of New York was designed to be a commons, a public educational trust that requires a commitment to social equity, to diversity, and to its sustainability. Even if the current political scheme and people who make decisions for us may not realize it right now. Even if it's isolated that obligation into the smallest college and one of its once most fragile university colleges. The collective obligation we have to struggle for that commons and the justice it is designed to provide can only be actualized when each one of us in it is willing to commit fully to the tasks of that community and to serve that community as a whole. I will leave you now with some lessons from the sayings of the elders from the Perkaya vote. I was, from 4 to 11, sent to Hebrew school, despite the fact that my parents were both agnostic and atheist. I think they wanted their children to have a background, and they wanted them to be well educated and understand their history. If I am not for myself, who will be? If I am merely for myself, who am I? And it is not incumbent upon thee to complete the task, but neither may any of us desist from our part of it. Let us carry the passion and inspiration of justice with us into our next decades, and let us engage in that mission with each other here as a community, and not in any type of self-defined silo. Thank you.